Such an inspiring journey, and I mean, it's such a blessing that you've learned from amazing gurus. I just want to know, you've forayed into multiple, dance forms, which was Bharatanatyam and Kuchipudi. How did you sort of juggle these?
See, initially when I was at Mudra and we were learning both the forms at that time, I was still too young to understand the technique so well. And also, say, okay, this dance has to be done like this dance has to be done like this, don't merge it, or, don't make it a khichdi of both.
Right.
But after I went to Darpana, uh, both Amma and Malika used to call a lot of dancers from around the world, not just classical dancers, but folk dancers used to come, contemporary dancers used to come, and they insisted that we should be part of the workshops that they conduct. So even if a Kalbelia artist, like when we were at Darpana, Gulabo had come, who has made Kalbelia, the folk dance, the Sapera dance of Rajasthan, that black costume and all that, famous all over the world. And it was a feminine dance, but she would say, no, go and learn that because that will be helpful. At some point of time, it will be of use to you. We've learned Lavani, we've learned Kaikottikali, Kummi, so all dances which is totally done only by women. But that kind of exposure that they gave, that you go and pick up, because, and then also another thing which was very nice was they always used to say that if even if you're not doing a particular role in a piece or a ballet or a dance drama, when you're sitting there, watch the other dancers and learn what they're doing, because you never know when you may have to be in their place, because if somebody's wicket falls or they get sick, then you may need a dancer at that time, so be careful of that. And those things have helped me. And so there was a point of time when I realized that, okay, I think I should concentrate more in Bharatanatyam and not so much in Kuchipudi. So I started reducing my performances in Kuchipudi and continued with Bharatanatyam. And I'm happy about that because, again, I feel that if I had continued with Bharatanatyam, my style would have been very different. And though I would not say that I am a purist, but my Bharatanatyam, when I dance, I enjoy what I do. Once I go onto the stage, I really love doing what I'm doing. And many of my students have said, so many times, when you're doing the rehearsal, you are doing a specific thing and we know this is what you're going to do. But when you go on stage, sometimes you wonder, oh, where did that come from? This was not what he was doing while he was rehearsing. I said, that is because, when I go there, I know the lyrics, I know what it means, I know. So I like to experiment and try not to spoil it and try and experiment at that time, at that point of time. So learning two styles, and see, again, because of that, now when I do all these productions which you spoke about, I have used components of all these forms at places where I felt, see, supposing there was a very graceful movement required, then, and if it was a group of girls who were performing that, then I tried to get a few of the Mohiniyattam movements in that, not getting them to wear that costume and all and do that, but certain places where you feel that, that figure of eight and the sway of the dance and all that helps in that. And the same way, a few of the Kuchipudi movements, which are beautiful when it is done, that is taken. Then, because Kathakali was there in Darpana, we got to learn a few of the Kathakali steps. So, certain places where I wanted that, valor and all that, and I want to show that because Amma used to teach us these things. So, I use that. So, I think if you understand the cutoff point, if you understand each one properly, and if you use it without losing the authenticity of that form, then I think it is all right. And that's what I feel. And when you do, especially when you're choreographing a dance drama, which is not specifically a one form oriented, to bring in all these elements help. Even, sometimes I did a piece on women empowerment, and in that, in the end, the mother is telling her daughter, I will teach you to live and not die, because all my life I have died trying to live. So sleep peacefully, my child. I will put you to sleep, but don't worry, because you will wake up again to a beautiful dawn. And I found a beautiful Rajasthani lullaby, which was there, which I was going through, and I found that. And of course, in that they were referring to a boy child, because again, there's this whole issue of the male and the boy child and the girl child and all that. So this song was pertaining to the boy child, but I changed that a bit to put for that to pertain to the girl child, and that confidence the mother is giving the child, saying that don't worry, you will live, because like I said, she has learned. I mean, she was dying and trying to live, but I will let you learn to live and not die. Again. So all these elements, if you know how to use them, I think sometimes it turns the whole piece very beautiful.
So you had made a very interesting mention of balancing the lasya, or essentially the masculine and feminine aspects of Natyam. So how has that understanding evolved as a male dancer? Because we tend to see these two in segments, but how did you sort of bring that together?
See, I think any dancer should not think that, okay, I have my gurus and I've learned enough and I know what to do and I will do it. I think everybody should watch dancers, watch great performers, and see their performances, and then see how they transcend from one to the other. For example, I when I went to Bombay, Vaibhav Arekar is a very good friend of mine, and he's also part of the college. He's the principal of the Bachelor. And Vaibhav did this piece on Shikhandi. And
Right.
Vaibhav, that way, I mean, when he dances, the Natya Rambe and the Anga Shuddhi and everything is amazing. As an artist, he's amazing. And there was this one particular moment, where he's first standing there as Arjuna, and then he slowly turns and gets into the form of Shikhandi. It stole the show, like you wondering, wow, how I mean, that transition was so amazing, and Vaibhav's subtlety, and not only subtlety but also the depth of Abhinaya in many of his pieces are so amazing that you can just sit and watch and try to maybe pick up a little from that. But I think all these things have helped me, because I love watching performances. Whenever possible, whenever there is a performance in Ahmedabad, I would always go for that. My wife, who's not really a dancer, who in fact in the beginning, because she got married to a dancer, she thought she learned dancing. So she went to Bhaskar and Radhaben to learn. And like I said, the first year is very difficult. So after a week, she said, "You're good with it. I'm not going to continue. These adus are too difficult to do." So, and I used to initially take her everywhere for all the performances. Even when we come back late, I was able to manage an early morning. But since she's working in a school, and my mother, who just passed away recently, she was also at home. My parents were at home. So she would be taking care of them, their needs, her needs, our needs, and then go to school. So like she would get up at 4:30 in the morning, even finish off with her prayers, and then get into the household work. So she would say, "Okay, I think I've had enough of this. You go, but I will not come with you." But I used to go and watch, and that has helped. And I think that is very important for any artist, because the plethora and the field of art has so many wonderful dancers, and each one has its own characteristics. So if you watch them, then I always say, because many times the students, when they come back, they say, "Oh, that dancer was doing like it was so bad." It was really... I said, "Why are you talking about that? Why don't you talk about the few beautiful things, moments that were there in that performance, and only talk about that? Pick up those things. Leave the rest of it. You don't need to become a critic and start, because you yourself need to learn a lot before you become that. So don't do that.
Right.
Pick up all the good points and then do that." So that, in that way, it has helped me, and I try to do justice to that
Right.
by keeping both the masculine and the feminine factor. Where it is needed, use it. Where it is not needed, don't use it.
So while being an artist is central to one's identity, you'd earlier made a mention of how your sister had given up dance after marriage. So there are things that happen in one's life which where your gender kind of plays a major role in how your journey in art continues and goes ahead. So how would you see that as a male dancer? How is marriage and maybe even taking up an institutional position? Does gender really play an important role in the past, maybe in comparison to how it could be today?
See, I remember one beautiful instance with which Chandrasekhar sir had said while he was in Baroda. And in those days, you had these coupes of first class compartments, and two people could be in one coupe. So he was traveling from, I think, if I'm not mistaken, from Baroda to Calcutta. So it's a long journey. And there was another gentleman in the train. And of course, when you are traveling and just two people and it's a long journey, once you settle down in the night, next day, early morning, while you're having a cup of tea, you'd at least exchange a few words. So this person who was there, he of course was from a corporate world. So he had a lot to talk about himself, and saying that I'm so and so, and I'm this, and I'm that, and all that. So he gave his full, very long introduction, and then he asked, "What do you do?" So Sir said, "I'm a classical dancer." And the hilarious part of it is, Sir said after that he didn't ask me a single question. But he said, "What can I ask a dancer?" And there was also a moment in my life when somebody told me that you're an artist, you're a dancer, you don't know what life is. But I feel that I don't think gender is really an issue. Uh, Today, in fact, sometimes it's appalling because there are gender issues being created by people who are actually not really being harassed or something, but they use that as a weapon to come forward and try and, uh, attack you or put blames on you and stuff like that. For a long time, of course, I worked with a institution which itself was performing arts. But after that, when like I said, my marriage, my business, and everything started at the same time. And in fact, for 5 years, I was into marketing. I was having a partner, and we were into consumer products, and we were doing marketing of consumer products like Lakme, cosmetics, Windsor biscuits, Sundrop oil, and many other such things, And so I've tried my hand at being a salesman also. I've tried my hand. And at that time, I used to dance also. But of course, at that time, I never used to talk to these people about my dance background because I knew they were not interested. For them, it was like, what, you dance? Then what are you doing here? That kind of thing. So I never used to mention to them. But it was when, at that time, of course, it was the peak of my career also after leaving Darpana, and I was doing things on my own. So we had critics at that time who would review shows. So pictures used to come in the paper, and then they would tell, "This is that you? Are you the guy who's dancing over there with all this makeup?" And yes, being a Bharatanatyam dancer, I used to have. I mean, I still do a proper makeup. The Aharya Abhinaya is very important. So the eyes, all these things that I've learned from my gurus, I use it. So when they see me in that form, they said, "Oh wow, is that you? And how do you manage this?" And I think, like one of our senior dancers was saying, if you know how to prioritize your each part of the life, and if you know how to constructively do it, see, there is no point mourning. There's no point saying, "Oh, I'm in a depression," and nobody cares about it. If you do something beautiful, they like about it. Your very close people will, of course, try to bring you out of that depression. But you should be fortunate to even have such people. Many times there are many people who do not have that. So it is up to you to decide how you want to run your life, what you want to do in life, and never give up, because failures are bound to come. It is because of failures that you get success afterwards. So I tell my students that I've done all kinds of jobs. Can you imagine that today I'm the vice principal and the assistant director of a college, but I worked in a factory as a manager, which was producing these cement bags. I was doing excise work, and I was entering accounts books and all that stuff. But all the time, inside me, it was telling me, "Bijoy, you're sitting on the wrong seat. I think you should get out of this and start dancing again." And that's what I did. And I was fortunate that in 2004, I got this job at the college.